Welcome back to my channel. This is Canadian Retro. I've got another pickups video for you here. This stuff is sort of few and far between these days. I haven't really been finding a whole lot, although I think I've been a little more selective as well. I have been leaving some things behind, just things that I probably would never play and don't really have the value and stuff like that. As you can see, like I've said before, my collection's growing quite well here, so I don't really need, you know, doubles that aren't really worth the time and effort basically to trade or sell. So I've been leaving a few things behind, especially some of the pricings on things have been a little bit out of the price range of what I'm willing to pay, especially on the thrift when you can't test things and whatnot. So first thing that I wanted to show you here actually did not come from a thrift shop. My wife found this at Target, which was closing down in Canada, if you're not aware of that. I believe now all the stores are closed and there's nothing left. So that's the way it is, but basically they're clearing stuff out, and she found this, which is duct tape, but it's Super Mario duct tape. I don't know if you can see it for the glare there, but you can see like on the side there, there's Mario, you know, jumping in the air and you know, mushrooms and the stars and all that kind of stuff on that. I doubt I'll ever open this. It's just too cool. Like I can't imagine what I would want to actually use this on. But still cool. Something I'll just put up on display just because it's duct tape and it's Mario related. So kind of cool, that's for sure. Moving on, I actually found a couple of things here. The first thing that I found, which I actually bought just so that I could really get the next item, which is kind of weird because the next item is not complete. So I'll show you this anyways. The first thing is Dead or Alive Paradise, and I picked this up for $5 at a Goodwill, but there's a reason why I bought this. I'm not really interested in this title. Basically what it is I don't even think it's like a game really. It just says like create your own paradise movie kind of thing, take snapshots for later viewing. I'm not really interested in that. It seems like a waste of time to me, so what I'm probably going to be doing this is just flipping it. The case I didn't even notice when I had bought it actually has a little bit of crack there, and this part of it is damaged, so I'll have to replace this, but I do have empty cases and stuff like that, so that's not a problem. The really weird thing about this is that the manual on the inside, someone has, for some reason, taken tape and just like taped it all along here, and I don't know why somebody would do that. So I'm gonna have to go and like take the hair dryer to that and try to get that tape off without ripping the manual. It's kind of weird, but the manual is in there. Just have to be sort of delicate with it. Now this is totally going to be up for resale. I'm not putting this in my collection. I'm not really that interested in this title, and for the PSP I'm only collecting titles that I'm absolutely interested in playing. So that's going to be something that I'll be taking to the upcoming swap, and hopefully someone is interested in that. But the reason why I bought that actually is just because of sort of advice actually from Longshot. He's sort of said in videos previously that, you know, he doesn't feel good just asking for something that's, you know, an empty case or something like that for them for free or something like that. So I felt sort of obligated to buy that, and consider the fact that it has like a reasonable value to it. It allowed me to pick up this, which is Medieval for the PlayStation 1, and the case is totally trashed, so I'm gonna have to replace that. But unfortunately somebody got to it before I did, so this was a freebie I really wanted to get my hands on. I felt that I would kind of sweeten the deal basically by picking up this thing so that I could really get this, because the artwork and the manual and stuff like that are actually in pretty decent shape. So obviously I'll just be looking for a loose disc version of this, and hopefully I'll be able to fill that one of these days, which would be really sweet. Moving on from there, I actually stopped in at another Goodwill. This was on a different day, and I decided to pick up Sonic Unleashed. I'm hoping this one is better. I took a little bit of flack for picking up Sonic, what was it, 06 or something like that, a little while ago. I think this title is kind of a different take on it. A part of it is sort of like a Sonic game, and the other part of it's sort of like a beat 'em up type of deal. So I'm not really totally certain about that, but something that, you know, I'll give a shot and see what happens with it. And this one here is totally complete, which is really nice. And the disc on it, well, it's not perfect or anything. There's a lot of fingerprints on it, so I haven't even cleaned it yet, but you can see all the smudging and stuff on it, so I'll have to clean it up and see what it really looks like, but it's in pretty decent shape. So that's there, and for that one there I paid $4.04, so it's pretty cool. Moving on though, at the same time I found this title, which is a really good find, I think. It's Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2. And that one there is also complete, which is really sweet. The disc on this one is pretty good actually. Probably not as good as the one I have in my collection, but still pretty decent shape, and for 404 I'm not going to leave that one behind. That one's probably going to accompany me to the swap coming up, and hopefully you know, get some money for the gaming fund basically for that, from that one. Moving on, this was actually kind of interesting. I had sold a system actually, a PS1 or a PS2 system rather, to somebody locally. It was a pretty good deal. There were a number of different games in there, and I unfortunately had a bit of a miscite on it, and I accidentally I had 2 copies of a game, and I accidentally put in with the lot a game that actually didn't work, and I felt pretty bad about that. And obviously when the person that purchased it from me messaged me, I told them, like, when they picked up the stuff too, you know, if there's any problem with it, let me know and I'll fix your problem, kind of thing. And he did message me and say that one of the games wouldn't load, and I tried it when I got home and it didn't load, and that was totally my fault. But you know, I am not a deadbeat or anything like that, so if something like that were to happen, I do guarantee, like, everything that, you know, I'm doing as far as like selling these things or trading these things, I absolutely like live up to that kind of thing. And I said, you know what, man, like, I have another copy of that game. I'll bring it to you. And I threw in like an extra memory card just to like sweeten the pot a little bit, and so it wouldn't be a waste of his time. I replaced that, and I also gave him like an extra cord for hooking it up. So those kind of things I was willing to do, but I guess my kind-hearted nature, because essentially I could have just said, you know, too bad, like, snooze lose or whatever you'd like to call it, to the guy, but I would never do that to a person. So in this case, it worked out to my benefit, because what I did was I met up with the guy, dropped off that stuff, you know, apologized profusely for my error, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna hit up the thrift shop, and luckily good karma came around my way by doing that, because otherwise I wouldn't even went by the store if I hadn't have made that miscite. And I picked up this Metroid Prime for the GameCube. So you know, my error actually led to something decent coming out of it. So lucky me on that kind of front. For that one, again, it's 404, because they always seem to price theirs like that at this place. And interestingly enough, this copy here, you might not be able to see it, and if I get too close it's probably going to be too glary, but you can actually see the name Tristan on there. So I'd like to thank Tristan for donating this to the Goodwill, or Tristan's mom, or whomever did that. But I've seen Tristan's name on a few things that I've picked up, and it seems that Tristan has a pretty good solid understanding of games, or a good selection of games, or just a good eye for games, because I do recall seeing his name on things before, and having to get it off of there with, you know, whatever techniques I need to get things sorted out. But you know, I recognize the actual writing of his name there. So, you know, locally, I'd like to thank Tristan for donating things to the Goodwill that I'm able to pick up. Just if he wants to get rid of the middleman, contact me directly, Tristan, because you got some really good quality titles that you're donating these days. So thank you for that. Picked up Metroid Prime again for 404, and there it is. It's totally complete, which is really nice. That's just my receipt in there. There you go. And the disc on this one is in pretty decent shape, and this is something I didn't have in my collection, although I do have the Metroid Prime trilogy on the Wii. I didn't actually have the GameCube version of it, so that's really sweet right there, and I'll be able to get Tristan's name off of it, and that will now become Canadian Retro. So thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Moving on, speaking of appreciation, I've met someone locally actually that I've done a trade with previously, and I showed that in a previous video, and we actually met up again to do another trade, because the first trade went so well, and he went looking. I showed him a bunch of pictures of things that I had, and he went back there and found a few things. So I picked up a few titles from my buddy Murko, who actually lives like super close to me, which is really nice. Basically 2 hunters in the same area, and seems like a solid kind of person that you know, is looking to basically recapture the same kind of things I'm recapturing here. So I appreciate that kind of mentality. It's not a huge cash grab for this guy. He wants to do even trades, and it's hard to find people like that these days, like I said in my previous video. So really great again to do a trade with Murko. So one thing that I got from him was the Genesis 6-pack. This was just to round out the deal. I already actually have this loose card, so that one's probably going to go to the swap. I'll have to check though and see if this one's in better shape than mine, but I already have this one now. If you don't know about this one, this is the one that has Sonic the Hedgehog, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Revenge of Shinobi Collins, and Super Hang-On. So those are all on here. So if you're a Genesis collector, I mean, that's a really good start, especially with like things like Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, even Sonic, you know, Revenge of Shinobi. That's a really good cartridge to pick up. Highly recommended. It's kind of cheap too, which is kind of surprising. It must be really common or something, because it's got all those games on it, really quality titles, but it's really cheap. And then also from him, I picked up this, which is Capcom vs. SNK 2 for the PlayStation 2. Again, I was just trying to round out a deal basically with them. I wasn't like super interested in this title, but still definitely quality. I'm not much of a fighter kind of guy. Like, I do like things like Power Stone on the Dreamcast, but these ones I've never fully gotten into, and I'm not really that good at them, but still in excellent, immaculate shape, and obviously taken well care of. So, you know, what he's basically doing is he's trying to focus on Nintendo only. So when he's finding these things, he's sort of offering them up for trade for those things, and I actually traded him a bunch of Nintendo games for those. Now, this last one was something that I've been on the hunt for, and I've seen, I believe it was Anthony Sill picked this up only for the GameCube recently in a trade package he did with somebody, and I can't remember that person's name, even though I just watched the video like 5 seconds ago. But this is a game that, you know, I wanted to check out, and this is also another fighter, but it's kind of interesting because it has like Godzilla in it. So it's Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee, and so, you know, another fighter type game, but this one here is totally complete, which is sweet. This title here is actually something that's fairly well sought after. It looks really beautiful, I think, on the Xbox, so I'm really glad to have it in my collection now, and something I can add in for sure. So that's another item that I got from him. And then the final item, which is mostly a display piece for me because I don't have an old style TV, is the Super Scope for the Super Nintendo. Never had one of these before, so it's pretty cool. I'll have to check out all the specs and stuff on it. I don't really know a whole lot about this. I know it's used for a few games or whatever, but more so for a display piece, really. I think that's going to look pretty hype when I put up the shelves like up high here. I'm going to have a few things, and that'll display prominently, I think, in that when I set all those things up. So really good. It's in great shape. Just have to give it a little bit of a wipe down, I think, but for the most part, a wonderful addition to the collection. So like I said, thank you again, Murko. That was great. I'm trying to think if there's anything else here that I picked up recently, and I'm gonna have to say there's one more item, and I almost forgot this, so I'm glad I took a look around, and I don't even know how I almost forgot this. What I picked up was this black case right here, and this one here is actually an old Blockbuster case for a PlayStation 2, which is in here, and there's 2 controllers, no other wires or anything, which isn't that big of a deal because those are a dime a dozen. But the system, I actually tested this out, and this system will play PlayStation 1 games, but it's not playing PlayStation 2 games right now. I don't even know if I'm going to spend the time to actually fix this system. I might just try to unload it like the way it is, and these controllers I'll have to clean up or whatever, and same kind of thing. But I was really after the case. I thought that it was something pretty cool because everything just like fits super snugly in there. You know, it's a Blockbuster rental case, so really cool. Interestingly enough, I don't know how this actually survived that long because they just changed over their color of the week thing at Goodwill, because they're actually going back to color of the week. And this one here was priced for $30, but I got it for $15, and it seemed to me like it just came out because I did not see this the day before, or people were just walking right past it and not really noticing it, because I'm fairly certain that anybody collecting would love to get their hands on one of these Blockbuster cases. They're super cool. I don't know exactly how I'm going to display it. The only thing that's missing from this, I did check out, like, you know, some information on this, is there actually used to be a PS2 kind of logo right here, but from what I've seen in pictures of it, it's often like peeling off, so it probably just peeled off and somebody just took it all the way off. So that's the only thing missing from it, but still a cool case nonetheless. So coming up in my next video, I'm going to be showing you a purchase that I made locally from a collector who I met actually through my job, which is really great. and this person was unloading a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to save that for a different video here, actually, because this would just be way too long if I did that, and that video is going to be long enough as it is. This was a huge score, I think, and that'll be coming up. So thanks again for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do feel free to thumbs up this video, comment down below, and I'll see you all later.